What if I told you some of the creepiest haunted houses don't even need ghosts? This Halloween, we're diving into haunted mansions, eerie buildings, and sinister cults, spooky but not enough to keep you up all night. We're taking a broad view of haunted houses here, so in addition to creepy, supernatural mansions, we'll also be talking about eerie buildings and unsettling cults. There are plenty of classic haunted house films out there, but I've left them off this list either because they're too intense for me, or they're so popular you probably don't need me to mention them. Number 1. Marrowbone. This is a 2017 psychological horror mystery loosely based on a director's personal childhood tragedy. A young man and his 3 siblings move from England to their late mother's family estate in rural Maine, seeking a fresh start. However, their new home harbors a dark, malevolent force. As they try to build a quiet life, the siblings become haunted by the sinister presence lurking within the old manor. I wasn't convinced at first because it has a slow start and you need to trust the process because in the end it delivers. I will not talk about the ending now, but I do want your opinion if you watched it. You can discuss spoilers in the comments section. Just type spoiler at the top. But I believe we should consider this a hidden gem. Number 2. Things Heard and Seen. This is a horror movie from 2021 and it's based on the novel All Things Cease to Appear. A woman moves from 1980s Manhattan to a secluded home in rural New York after her husband takes a teaching job at a small Hudson Valley college. As she tries to create a warm environment for their young daughter, she becomes increasingly isolated. Over time, she begins to sense a disturbing presence in the house and an even darker truth within her marriage. I'd say it's a suspense thriller rather than an actual horror, and perhaps this is why some people ended up being disappointed after watching it as they were expecting a scary movie. This is also described as a Swedenborgian thriller since it references the teachings of 18th century theologian Emanuel Swedenborg. And the film initially follows a skeptic moving to this small town, which is a premise that I find interesting. This is not the top haunted house recommendation, but it's a peculiar one. And personally, I enjoy seeing Amanda Seyfried on screen. Number 3. Casper. This is a 1995 supernatural fantasy comedy based on the cartoon character Casper the Friendly Ghost. A paranormal therapist and his teenage daughter move to a decaying mansion in Maine to cleanse it of troublesome spirits. There, they encounter a gentle young ghost who forms a bond with the daughter. As their connection deepens, it's challenged by his ghostly form and the chaotic behavior of his mischievous uncles. I thought we all needed a wholesome movie on this list, and I wonder, do you have tactile memories of childhood movies too? Because even if I just think about this movie, I can feel the train in the attic and the cold hands of the little ghost. Starring Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman, wasn't he everywhere in the 90s? Rewatching it as an adult, I realized it has a lot more in common with Home Alone than I would like. That specific kind of comedy, people getting hurt and so on, you know? But other than that, it's a comfort rewatch for me. Number 4. The Others. This is a 2001 gothic supernatural English language Spanish movie. During World War II, a devout mother relocates her children to a remote coastal home in England, hiding them from a rare light sensitivity disorder while she waits for news of her missing husband. Her daughter claims to see ghosts, and though her mother initially dismisses it, unsettling occurrences soon lead her to believe something supernatural is at work. Determined to protect her children, she faces escalating strange events with growing fear. This is a suspense movie with spot-on atmosphere. I watched it when I was too young and I was absolutely terrified back then. I rewatched it last week and it was fine, just moody but not scary. Besides, after the first watch, it's not the same and it's hard to forget how the plot develops. But I think this is the most popular recommendation on the whole list. Number 5. Archive 81. This is a 2022 supernatural horror series based on the podcast of the same name. An archivist is hired to restore damaged videotapes only to uncover the mystery of a missing PhD researcher and her investigation into a deadly cult. As he reconstructs her work, he becomes entangled in the dark web she left behind. Soon, the search for answers pulls him deeper into a sinister conspiracy. Here we have a mysterious building rather than a haunted house, and a secret cult, which is one of those tropes I enjoy, but that are often scary for me. This series is a little too fast-paced in the last third, but that's probably due to the, let's call it, Netflix model, in which they rush through series and give them a handful of weeks before cancelling. But the idea was that a rushed and incomplete ending would bring us a second season, because this was clearly meant to have one or a couple more seasons. Alas, the one season we got is definitely worth watching. The next 8 recommendations will be bonus recommendations, because I'm not giving you the full plot summary, either because they're not exactly haunted houses, or because we talked about them in previous videos, just like the first 4 I'm about to list. But I recommend them all for various reasons. Crimson Peak. It's a 2015 gothic romance movie. It's atmospheric, a period piece, and it's the absolute perfect gothic recommendation that is not too scary, which makes it perfect for the easily scared. The Awakening. It's a 2011 British supernatural drama movie in which a writer and paranormal investigator is invited to a boarding school. This would be a perfect haunted house, except it's a boarding school. And actually, I believe this could be an entirely separate subgenre of movies and shows in which something truly creepy happens behind the walls of a boarding school. If you want me to make a video dedicated to that, I've been thinking about it for a while, and it doesn't need to be for Halloween only. But for now, I recommend you watch The Awakening. The Haunting of Hill House is a 2018 supernatural horror drama series, and we just talked about it in the last video, not to be confused with The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is a 2020 gothic romance horror drama series that I recommended last year for Halloween, because it's not as scary as The Haunting of Hill House, so I can easily handle it. Maybe don't watch them one after the other, because some of the actors are the same and this will confuse you a little bit, or you will feel differently based on what you watched first. You'll see what I mean if you do that, but yeah. The Devil's Hour is a 2022 British horror thriller drama, and it's ongoing. We've got 2 seasons so far. I believe it's severely underrated, and it's not exactly fitting the description, but something deeply unsettling is going on, and each episode takes you a step closer to well-crafted twists. And the acting is brilliant too in here. So if you missed it, check it out. Delirium is a 2018 psychological horror movie. Here we have an eerie mansion. It has all the elements, but it's not a brilliant film, and it came to mind simply because I watched it recently. And perhaps since it has all the elements you expect from a haunted house story, I'm confusing it with other movies I watched before this. Let's say it's quite generic, and I believe they wasted some potential that the premise had. So I'm not super sure if I'm recommending it, or rather I'm asking you what you think about it if you watched it. The House is a 2021 German sci-fi thriller movie that makes me think of Cassandra. If you missed this video, we recently talked about it, but in both you have a high-tech house and at some point the AI system goes rogue. So it's not haunted by ghosts, but it's still a creepy setting in which the protagonists are somewhat trapped in their own home. The Glass House is a 2001 thriller movie that is quite similar to the previous one, in the sense that it's not haunted, but you feel trapped along with the young protagonists. There's no AI here, and maybe I would call it more of a psychological thriller, and it involves teenagers too, so the point of view is slightly different, and it's quite old, so maybe you could rewatch it if you already know about this one and it's been a while since you've seen it. These were all the recommendations I had for you. Let me know which are the best haunted house movies or TV shows you can think of or you normally rewatch during spooky season. I know for sure that I missed the scariest ones and I don't have the guts to watch them, but good for you if you're able to handle them. And now that you watched this, check out the video on the screen. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.